people really did not understand the hazards of the byproduct of burning coal. Coal was a big industry, major industry for this area. It fed people, it housed people, but in the long run, it has caused a major problem. Now we're faced with the actual cleanup. And it's not going to be cheap and it's not going to be easy. But in my estimation, and I've been harping on this one for a good long while, the real need to start helping with this cleanup is for the EPA to finally classify coal ash as to the absolute problem that it is. It is a hazardous material. And as far as EPA is concerned, it is still classified as non-hazardous, and that is wrong. My name is Catherine Denenberg. I am an Anderson County Commissioner from District 6, which is located in Oak Ridge. I am chair of the Intergovernmental Committee, which is tasked with the responsibility of looking into the closing of our Bull Run fossil plant here in the Claxton community. And now we also will be looking into the cleanup of the American Nuclear property also in the Claxton community. I live in Anderson County. I've been in Tennessee for many, many, many years. It's a beautiful state that needs to be taken care of, because once we lose a lot of our beauty, it takes a lot more to bring it back than it is to save it. Anything near the water. We have excellent rowing facilities here. I'm hoping that we're going to clean up our water areas around the Bull Run plant to enable fishing and clean and healthy water for any and all of the activities. Right now we are at a park that is owned by TVA, or the Tennessee Valley Authority. It was put here and developed for the use of the residents of the Claxton community. We have a playground, there's a ball field, picnic area here, and it is located directly adjacent to a very large coal ash pile that is grass-seed over. TVA, not only with this site, but other sites that they are the owners of, need to be more proactive in the actual cleanup and restoration of the properties as they are closing down these plants and hopefully turning the properties over to the local municipalities for whatever that particular group wants them to be used for. From my conversations with residents of Anderson County, they're wanting this property to be turned back to the county in the pristine, or as pristine of condition as it was when TVA took it over in the 1950s. It was beautiful farmland, just like the building of the Norris Dam. It displaced families. Some of the families still live here in the community. I know, having talked with some of them, that they would really appreciate a restoration of the area. Ticks and things. This property is comprised of about 6 1/4 acres in total. And it was owned by a private individual, and you can see the building, or a portion thereof, through the gate here, that manufactured something to do with x-rays. And whatever it was that they manufactured was made up partially of radioactive material. They were in business for about 10 years. The man who was of record reported to be the father-in-law of a man by the name of Jake Butcher, who was a local banker and politician, ran for governor at one point. But when they left, they just walked away and left this garbage of radioactive materials in that building. At one point, there was an attempt at a bankruptcy, and eventually what happened is that the state came in and took over the property. It is my understanding that when they did, they came in, dug a big hole, dumped all of the material left over into the hole and encased it in concrete and covered it over. That was approximately 10 or so years ago. In the interim, the state has been very diligent about monitoring the radioactive output of the area. The thing that bothers me a lot is that in a meeting that we had of the Intergovernmental Committee last month, the representatives from TDEC came and did tell us that the shelf life of what's here is around 300 years. And we're only in about 50 years, so 250 years still to go. But at this point, we are going to be asking the owners of the property, who have the responsibility, to clean it up, because the county would like to have the property back, where we would be able to use it for a parking lot that would allow the county residents to come and park and then access our new park area for biking, walking, hiking trails that's over on the other side of the ridge. So basically that's what American Nuclear, as the property is known as, where we are at this point, because we're just starting the process. The only actual purpose that it could be used for, because of the contamination that it did have and for concerns that we would have for the health of the residents, is for a parking lot. 6 acres, and it's a beautiful piece of property, and it's just a shame that, you know, it has on it what it does. To be able to utilize it and allow parking for the park area would be a large benefit to the residents of this county. It's just something that the state and county should not be concerning themselves with, but since the property is under the ownership of the state, it, in my opinion, falls under their responsibility. The large amount of coal ash that is directly behind me would be gone. It would not just be leveled over. It, like every other coal ash landfill, is in an unlined pit. We have creeks and streams and water running underneath. We also have a fault line that goes underneath the Bull Run steam plant. We also have another fault line that comes directly in front of it down through the Clinch River. I would really like to see this, as I said, with the coal ash gone, the building and the chimney stacks removed, and for the residents of Anderson County then to decide exactly what they would like to have the property used for. And since it is on the river, personally, I'd like to see it more of a recreational area. The Bull Run Neighbors Group is a group of residents in this Claxton community, Bull Run community, that are very active in showing what they want and what they feel needs to be done for this community and Anderson County. I mean, also we are right next to Knox County. One of Knox County's water intakes is just a few thousand yards up the river from Bull Run. And that is another environmental issue that needs to be talked about and addressed. Bull Run Neighbors has been a wonderful asset to showing exactly what we would like to see done with the closure. TVA had purchased additional acreage that was adjacent to where we are at this moment. They had a plan of enlarging the landfill area with more coal ash prior to their departure. It was never made clear, as far as I am concerned, as to exactly what their intent was. They had requested a permit from the Tennessee Department of Environmental for this additional landfill. They never really went forward with the reports that TDEC was requiring and eventually withdrew their application for the permit. We would like to think that by seeing the uproar that the Claxton community and Anderson County in particular showed towards the enlargement of the area, that had something to do with their backing off and withdrawing their application. I certainly think that there should be some revamping of the board with people who have more knowledge of what should be done for the actual closing down of these sites, the cleaning up of these sites, and not just people that are politically connected and/or connected through their employment or on boards of large corporations that have a interest and connection to TVA. I think the federal government and EPA in particular needs to certainly move forward with whatever needs to be done to reclassify coal ash from a non-hazardous material to the hazardous material that it is. As soon as we can get that done, that will certainly help, not just with Anderson County and their needs, but any other area. Roane County, who's going to be going through the same thing here with the shutting down very soon of the Kingston plant. The plant's up in just north of us in Kentucky, and any other location where not just TVA but other owners getting rid of this coal ash. The northern part of the county was heavily involved in the mining industry, and it was the source of food on the table and housing and schooling for a good portion of the county. As mining declined, that has really impacted the county financially in that area. People have been impacted sharply by that decline. It has been something that we are still trying to do what we can to bring a better economic balance to that portion of the county. But it has not been easy at all. The city of Oak Ridge is an entity unto itself, as a lot of people know, and even probably more people don't know, that it was an intricate portion of the Manhattan Project that brought to fruition the atomic bomb that was dropped on Nagasaki and Hiroshima. We are a DOE city for the most part, which makes us a little bit removed in some ways from the rest of the county as far as the diversity in population. At one time, I believe the statistic was that Oak Ridge had more PhDs than any other city in the United States because of the work that was going on at the Y12 and K25 locations. Well, it means a responsibility, for one thing. Responsibility of maintaining the beauty of the area, trying to bring back and or maintain, if it's still there, the water, the air, the soil, to maintain the history of the area, because I mean this is a good portion of the original development of this country. This area at one time was not Tennessee, it was North Carolina. I would like there to be more federal involvement as far as help with working with TVA, with giving us the tools that we would need to be more successful in working with TVA, to give us some real teeth in what we can do as far as requiring action from them and from others that certainly can help. I would like lawmakers in Washington to understand that this is another one of the mishaps of poor management, quite frankly, of people who had used this for their own personal enrichment monetarily, and then just literally walked away and dumped it in the laps of the county to concern themselves with the actual cleanup.